Hi, today I'm going to be talking about, can colorblind artists create colored art? Hi, my name is Luis Escobar. I'm a storyboard artist on the Simpsons television show. I've been working on the show for over 20 years now, and I'm here to try to empower you. And a person once asked me this question. I just discovered your website and I like what you have written very much. Your drawing style is charming. I have a question about color. Have you ever come across a colorblind artist? What does a person do when they don't have natural color harmonizing skills? So, I'm absolutely, positively not an expert in colorblind anything. I actually don't know anybody who is colorblind who is an artist. Um, However, here's my answer to the question that I gave back, and then I will build on this. Thanks for the question. I once saw a documentary on fantasy painters. One of them was colorblind. His art looked a bit psychedelic, yet it still worked. My guess is that even though he didn't get the colors right, he got the values right. In other words, if you were to take his painting and turn off the colors, making them black and white, the painting would still work. It would still look right. The most important basic thing you must learn about color is that each color tone has a black and white value equivalent. Getting that right goes a long way in making a color piece look good. My guess is if a colorblind person can get that right, the tone, even if the colors are off, they may still get a colored piece that works. That said, I found a video online where a colorblind artist shares how he colors in spite of his limitations, and I will provide the link to that YouTube video in the comments. Now, one of the things I just want to mention about color and reiterate here about color, our eyes have I don't know. I heard this somewhere, and I don't know the actual numbers here, but the amount of input or data or processing that our eyes do for value, and by value I mean from grayscale, from black and white through the grayscale, is much greater than the amount of processing our eyes do with color. So we tend to look at our eyes tend to have a greater capacity to understand value over color. So that means that the color understanding is very minimal, or the processing of color is very minimal in our eyes than the value. So what we tend to be responding to most is value. And as I said in the response, every color that we see has a value range. It has an equivalent of some part in the grayscale. So a bright yellow, for example, would be closer to a white than a very dark blue, which would be closer to black. So that's what we're actually seeing, is the value. So if you're colorblind, you could still get away with some semblance of interesting art if the values are correct. In fact, painters have discovered throughout history that you don't have to paint something to have the same local color of the object. It doesn't actually have to be realistic. Our eyes, in fact, pick up so many different variations of color that you could actually get away with putting all kinds of crazy, weird mix of colors in one. Like, for example, somebody's cheek could have greens and yellows and reds and blues and all kinds of stuff. And your eye would just see it as normal because our eyes are kind of processing all kinds of stimulus all throughout anyway. So what you could get away with, as long as the values are right, it would just see it as bright mid-tone, dark tone, that sort of thing. It would just automatically go to that, and the colors almost don't matter. So you could paint a blue person or a yellow person and an orange person or a green person or whatever, and then we'd still see it natural. We'd just think that it was being lit by a blue light or something. But as long as the values are right, if the grays and the light areas and the dark areas seem correct, you could get away with it and it'll be okay. So, yeah, like, I could understand that it would be an issue if you're trying to be very naturalistic as a colorblind artist, to be as naturalistic as possible, because your perception of the world is different. And that's another. But then there's also the beauty of the fact that you are seeing the world through different lens, and then your art is seen through. Why not? Why not? That would be part of your thing. That would be part of the uniqueness of your art. So yeah, colorblind. I don't know any colorblind artists. And like I said, the only exposure that I know of is in that documentary and in that video that I linked to. But I don't see that necessarily being a crutch. All right, I think you can get beyond it and even use it as leverage, as your thing. Okay, so that's what I got, and hopefully that answers your question and it gives you some food for thought. If you found this video valuable, I would like to encourage you to return value for value by becoming one of my patrons over on Patreon. Not only will you encourage me to continue making informative videos that are useful to you, but you get extra perks too. For only a small investment of $1 a month, you can get all new videos I create months before anyone else gets to see it. Also, if you have any questions you'd like me to answer as a patron, you get priority and I answer your questions first. On top of that, when you're a patron at any level, you become part of a raffle where I send original art via mail to the winner of that month. The higher your tier, the better your opportunity to win. Higher tier patrons also get access to any art I do in high-res JPEGs, and also full access to PSD files to any work I do, including the PSD files of these videos. Currently, there's a huge backlog of downloadable files you can get, so right away you're going to get quite a lot of bang for your buck. And the more patrons I get, the better these videos will get. The more content I can produce. In other words, the more you benefit. Please consider becoming a patron. Thanks. The link to my Patreon is on the screen and in the description of this video. And I'll see you next time. All right, bye.